What's up YouTube? Capital G here, looking at a new Kuriboh monster coming out in the new Yami structure deck, or is this the Yugi structure deck? Honestly, I really don't think that it matters. We're looking at Kuribohrn. It's a new Kuriboh. This guy is, and I mean, he's one of many in a long line of Kuribohs, and honestly, anytime there's new support that is revolving around like Yugi Moto or the Pharaoh, whatever, you can kind of expect some form of Kuribohs to be thrown in there. I mean, we saw this in Docs and Dimension of Chaos when we got all the new BLS stuff. There was, you know, a new Kuriboh that was associated with that. So like anytime he's getting support, like expect some type of Kuribohs. So what does Kuribohrn do? Well, it's a level 1. It's a light fiend. The fact that it's a fiend and level 1 shouldn't be a shock to anybody. In fact, honestly, I kind of feel like Kuriboh need an XC because they have so many like little level 1 monsters. Like, why not just give them an XC at this point? You know what I mean? I mean, I guess the odds of you having 2 Kuriboh on the field are not really good, but this card might solve that problem. All right. What is the stat line? And let me see. Stat line is 300, 200. Again, it's a Kuriboh card. You're not going to be doing any damage with this card pretty much ever. You're not really going to attack with a Kuriboh pretty much ever. So you can pretty much forget that. Unless it's like, you know, Wing Kuriboh level 9 or something like that. Like, you're not really going to be attacking with any of these little guys. All right, at the start, or excuse me, at the end of either player's battle phase, you can discard this card and target one monster that was destroyed by battle and sent to your graveyard this turn. Special summon that monster. Okay, so the first effect, if you just think about it in the context of a typical duel, is actually hella practical. I mean, it pretty much serves as a much more situational Call of the Haunted. Like, you're not gonna go through a duel without having one of your monsters get run over, and this card just instantly revives it. Yeah, Call of the Haunted probably does a better job, but Call of the Haunted has to be set. This card doesn't, which means it's not susceptible to things like, you know, Twin Twister or pretty much to any back row destruction. It is susceptible to things like Solemn Strike, but the second effect does kind of make up for that. Effect number 2. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target any number of Kuriboh monsters in your graveyard, special summon those monsters. Now, the interesting thing about this is, since Kuribohrn is technically a Kuriboh monster, you see right here, that's Kuriboh in the name, you can actually use one Kuribohrn to summon like 2 more copies of Kuribohrn. So that's pretty cool. And obviously the second effect works directly with the first effect. The first effect you know, like discard it, and then the second effect is in the graveyard. I generally tend to like monsters that can summon like 5 other monsters. Like, that's just really good. Even if those monsters do have to be Kuribohs, I'm hoping that this might mean that Kuribohs are going to get an XE, because it would make, you know, summoning like a level 1, or excuse me, a rank 1 Kuriboh a lot easier. Obviously, effect number 2, you're not going to be running, and you can't splash this card in and expect effect number 2 to really work. Otherwise, you're pretty much only going to be summoning like copies of Kuribohrn. You know, this is meant to be played in like a Yugi type deck or a deck with other Kuribohs. And YG Organization has actually listed all of the Kuriboh cards here. You've got obviously the original Kuriboh, you got Spear, you've got Clear, and then just, you know, all the other like Kuriboh cards. There's a lot of them. There's a decent amount of cards that you can summon back. You know, this might actually mean that you might be able to run like a Kuriboh deck now. Again, will this card see any meta play? Probably not, but the first effect is actually pretty practical. Like, again, I think that monsters just get ran over all the time, and this card is kind of like a pseudo Call of the Haunted in a sense. You know, I think that it's probably best used on things like Leo Dancer if you somehow wanted to build your deck around summoning like one big powerful boss monster, a monster that ideally your opponent has to run over in battle, but maybe like Utopia the Lightning is something that just bones you. Although, could you use could you use this against Utopia the Lightning? I don't know if you can use it because of the whole no effects in the battle phase, so maybe that's not the best example. But if you happen to run something like Leo Dancer, the Lunar Light card, and let's say your opponent summons Heroic, you know, like Excalibur or something, and they run it over, like as their one out, if you happen to reborn it, they're probably going to lose. Although, can she be summoned? She might have to be fusion summoned only. But just in general, I think that you guys get what I'm saying. The card's okay. You know what I mean? If you're playing a Kuriboh deck, then definitely run it. Outside of that, you're probably just better off with Call of the Haunted. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.